work session. I'm going to ask Commissioner Singer to lead us in prayer.
Good morning. If you would pray with me. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for today, for the beautiful weather, for the beautiful time of the year. Lord, we just ask you to be with us as a country. So much going on, and sometimes we turn our back on you, Lord, and try to do things on our own, and it never quite works out as good as if we turn it over to you. Lord, just thank you for this staff here at Montgomery County, all our employees, and this Montgomery County Commission and my fellow commissioners. What a blessing it is to be up here with them today. Lord, just ask you to help us make all decisions in the best interest of the entire Montgomery County. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Lawrence?
Good morning. First, we'll review our list of visitors for today. We will hear from City County Emergency Management Agency. Christy Thornton can't be here today, and here to report is Janiza Johnson. Sheriff Cunningham, Chief Administrator Michael Burdell from the District Attorney's Office, Grant Manager Regina Walker, Deputy Administrator Kendall Anderson, and he will be joined by Program Manager Jason Moore with Horn. Following our formal session, we will recess to an executive session. Ms. Johnson?
Good morning.
My name is Janiza Johnson. I'm the planner for Montgomery EMA, and I'm here in place of Director.
The mic on. The mic on. Oh, excuse me.
Can't hear you.
Hold on,
Is
Mr.
that mic turned on? You see that? Is the light on?
Thank you. Yes, good morning. My name is Janiza Johnson. I'm the planner for Montgomery EMA. I'm here in place of Director Christina Thornton this morning. She's working on a very special project, and she will give you all more information about that in the next meeting. For the COVID-19 cases, Montgomery County has 34,390 COVID cases, and there have been 779 COVID-related deaths. We are now listed as a moderate risk of community transmission. However, in comparison to with year-to-year data, we have seen a decrease in the number of cases. Around last year, from October 29th, 2020 to November 16th of 2020, there was an increase of 1,071 cases, or 10.87%. However, this year around the same time, there's only been an increase of 158 COVID cases, or 0.46%. For vaccination numbers, Montgomery County has reached 90,166, or 39.81% completed vaccine series. 114,305, or 50.47%, have at least received one dose. And Montgomery County has administered 212,353 doses of the vaccine. Any questions?
Do you all, Ms. Johnson,
Yes, yes, sir.
do you all meet with Dr. Harris on a regular basis from the Department of Public Health as it relates to COVID and the protocols that we should still have in effect to help mitigate the spread? Are you all in touch with his office?
No, sir, we haven't. We're just constantly updating our information from the ADPH site, and constantly just making sure we're following protocols at our work area and making sure we're wearing our masks.
And masks are still recommended in
Yes.
the indoor setting?
Yes, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you all.
Next, we'll review the items to be considered on the formal session. Consider an alcohol license application for Latino Festival on November 20th, 2021. Consider board member appointments to the Montgomery County Board of Human Resources. Consider a board member appointment to the Public Building Authority. Consider a resolution authorizing the county's Thanksgiving holiday observance Consider a resolution regarding the GASB 54 fund balance commitments. Consider lifting the mask requirement in county buildings and to make wearing masks a personal choice for employees and the public effective immediately. Consider a memorandum of agreement among the District Attorney's Office, Montgomery County Commission, City of Montgomery, and the Montgomery Public Schools for the Helping Montgomery Families Initiative. Consider a Microsoft Enterprise Agreement renewal for information systems. Consider sponsorship for AUM's Business Breakfast Series for 2021. Consider miscellaneous appropriations to agencies. Are there any additions? Consider miscellaneous appropriations to education. Are there?
Did I have, where's Teresa? Did I give anything to William Boyd's parade, New Year's parade? Not yet, no. Okay, I need to give $5,000 out to agency. Mr. Sanger, did he not talk to you?
I haven't heard from him, Mr. Chairman.
That parade is an annual event, so.
We still have a little more time, at least another meeting.
I'm sorry. Consider miscellaneous appropriation from designated revenue. Are there any additions there? Consider budget change request number 2 for the County Commission appropriations. Consider budget change request numbers 2, 3, and 4 for the Sheriff's Office. Consider position fill requests for the detention facility for a stores clerk position. Consider a corrections officer trainee. Consider an unbudgeted position fill request for the District Attorney's Office. Consider a position fill request for the District Attorney's Office for a legal support assistant. Consider a position fill request for the Sheriff's Office for a Deputy Sheriff Corporal. Consider a position fill request for the Youth Facility Detention for a Juvenile Detention Officer part-time. Consider travel training requests for appraisal, detention, engineering, county commission, probate, recreation, the sheriff, support services, and tax and audit. In our world of electronics, I think we are missing one item that Tammy is adding now, which is a resolution authorizing the engagement of Stiefel and Liberty to underwrite a bond issue for repairs to the jail and other capital improvements, and to engage Gilpin Gavan as bond counsel.
Mr. Chairman, did we ever decide how much money we were actually trying to borrow? I mean, I don't feel too comfortable with that being added at the last minute. Is that going to be something that's going to actually reflect a dollar amount, or we still just have a blank check?
No, sir, this is not a blank check. The parameters resolution will specify a dollar amount. This is just to engage them to begin an analysis of the cost of the bond issue, interest rates, that sort of thing.
Okay.
What number is that?
We are, it disappeared electronically, so it will be added momentarily.
Wouldn't it have to be a waiver rule?
No, sir, it was put on the next agenda at the last meeting for an up or down vote.
So what would advertise? published with the minutes?
That,
I mean,
yes.
With the agenda, it was published.
It was, the minutes reflected it was to be put on the next agenda.
I mean, when we published this agenda, was it on there?
No, sir.
Mr. Lawyer?
What'd you say? What did you say?
He's looking.
It was a 3-2 vote that we bring it to this, we vote on it this today.
What
This
he's
next
talking
meeting.
about
Yeah, but you have to.
under the Open Meetings Act, and I think he's right.
You think you know.
Yeah. I mean, there's no absolute.
There's no absolute in the law.
Well, not, no, it's not.
Well, then if there's not an absolute, then does that mean it's our prerogative?
No. Your responsibility is to give notice of the agenda. The agenda didn't include all the items, so you need to approve.
That sounds like an absolute.
I guess it depends on what lawyer is in court on any given day and what judge you have.
Well, we tried to waive rules the last time, and it didn't go by, and it's not gonna go by today, so I guess you go to the next meeting, next meeting. Y'all agree with that?
You're gonna have to unless we waive rules, so.
I can't believe y'all did that. Don't believe y'all, come on. All right. We'll go to the next agenda.
Next, we'll hear from Sheriff Cunningham.
Good morning. Speaking to y'all. I know I ain't speak to everybody this morning. So to all those I didn't speak to, good morning. Hey,
Morning, Sheriff.
how you doing? How y'all doing? Well, I'm just happy to be here this morning.
We're happy to see you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
You don't never know what you want, what you need to talk about.
I know.
Somebody has to say it.
Yeah.
The first thing the sheriff is going to address is a U.S. Department of Justice Equitable Sharing Agreement and certification that is a waived rule item.
Yeah, that's just an agreement we have on some of our investigators that are working the task force. It's just a way that we get paid, a reimbursement. But we got to get it submitted back to them.
Yeah, no objection to waive rules.
And grant writer Regina Walker has a 2021 ADECA equipment grant for the sheriff's office.
Okay.
Good morning. We have our 2021 ADECA equipment grant. The max on this grant is $24,000, and there is no match. It's due on the 30th. Yes, sir. No, sir.
Yeah, it's due on the 30th.
Oh, you are. I'm sorry. You do have to waive rules. I'm sorry. I probably put it on the agenda wrong.
December.
Time flies.
And no objection.
Thank you.
Bye, Sheriff.
Next, we'll hear from Chief Administrator Michael Burdell with the DA's office.
Good morning, Commissioners. Just like Sheriff Cunningham, I'm glad to be with you this morning as well. And also, just like the sheriff's office, the district attorney's office is in the same boat when it comes to the equitable sharing deal. Each year, the Department of Justice requires an annual agreement and certification in order to be eligible to receive equitable sharing funds that come from forfeitures in criminal cases. In FY 2020, our office received $23,641.90. There's no negative impact on the county's finances, nor is there a match.
Next,
No objection. waive
oh,
rules.
we want to waive rules.
No
Yes,
objection.
we're requesting that you waive rules.
Done.
Thank you very much.
Our third waive rule item is to consider a resolution to authorize the chairman of the county commission to execute documents related to the purchase and sale agreement and water and sewer improvements to benefit Premier Tech. You previously approved the purchase and sale agreement, but our attorneys wanted to make sure that there was specific permission for the chairman to sign the other documents necessary to close the sale.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. What other documents are we referring to as it relates to closing the sale?
They are listed in the resolution.
Oh, I don't see any, I read it, I don't see specific documents mentioned. Can you point that out to me, please? So the purchase sale agreement, I thought we already executed that, even though I hadn't seen a copy of it.
Yes, you have.
Okay. And what about, and so we also authorized Goodwood Mills and Kaywood to do some professional engineering as it relate to extension of the boulevard and the water and sewer. Did we ever, I know we approved of that, so what are we signing? I'm confused about what we're signing since we've already authorized Goodwood Mills and Kaywood to do the professional engineering service for the boulevard extension, for the water and sewer. And I guess-
The main thing is to sign off on the plat.
Is that it?
Is to approve the plat.
Have we got any bills from Goodwood Mills and Kaywood yet on the actual cost for their services?
No, sir. They were estimated at the time it was presented.
Okay. All right. Still not very clear what we're signing, what we're authorizing the chairman to do, but, okay. Thank you.
I have no objection to waiving rules.
Well, we'll get to that point when we come to that.
So,
If there are any more clarifying questions that need to be asked to further any understanding, now would be the time.
I don't have any more questions.
It's basically authorizing the chairman to sign the documents
correct.
I would
that
just,
we've already agreed upon.
The question, though, the reason why there's a question, I think, is because he already has that as far as we know. And this talks about any other and all other things. And I think what Mr. Sankey wanted to know, what are all those other things? Because you already signed it, gave him the authority to do what he needed to do. And what else could the lawyers have in mind that might come up that he needs to do?
I think it's a question
Oh,
for,
he's not the lawyer that drafted this.
who did, Gallion?
Jeff Blitz.
Oh, Blitz did.
Yeah, this is.
All right,
This is coming from that project. And, you know, my question is, how much have we spent already on projects like this? This is a project where people threatening to leave town if we didn't have to move,
right,
right?
that's,
I didn't like that in. But,
The language that was used when the purchase and sale agreement was approved was simply "and related documents." Mr. Blitz preferred that it spell out more specifically what those related documents were.
But it doesn't say, it doesn't spell it out.
yeah.
It says in any other, it's still general language. Could be anything. Buy somebody a hamburger, sign off on that.
So that's what I'm concerned
That's
about.
what he's
It's
talking
just
about.
not very clear.
What else could it
What are we
possibly
doing?
be that the chairman's gonna sign up? I don't have a problem with it, it's probably lawyer language,
It is.
so I don't really have a problem with it, I understand this question.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, I don't see the need for the resolution if we've already engaged Goodwin Mills and Kaywood for the water and sewer, for the extension of the boulevard. We've signed the contract for the sale of the land. I'm just trying to figure out what else we could be doing. And again, your resolution's
Again-
not very clear. I guess gotta take your word for it. I don't, is it a problem to see the papers that the chairman's going to sign? Is it a problem to see the documents that the chairman's going to sign?
The only document that's been signed so far is the purchase and sale agreement.
What, yeah, I was just wondering about the other documents that we're authorizing the chairman to sign. Is it possible to see those documents? No.
I'm not sure they're prepared yet. They will be signed at the closing. It includes the deed, the plat, which has been sent over, approved by Waterworks Board. They've signed off on it. In order to be recorded, it has to have the chairman's signature.
Okay. But you understand it's kind of vague and convoluted. It could have just said that and we would have been moving on. But let's go ahead. I don't want to hold up the day trying to get clarifications, obviously, and I'm not going to get it at this point. So we can move on.
What's next?
Item number 6 is a grant agreement with the Department of Youth Services for housing juveniles at the Montgomery County Youth Facility for Autauga, Butler, Chilton, and Elmore counties. Brandy's here if you have any questions about that.
Next agenda.
Yeah, next.
Florence, did you mean to jump 5, or did you come back to 5?
No, sir, I didn't.
Okay.
Before we get to that, though, can we hear from Deputy Administrator Kendall Anderson and Jason Moore from Horn regarding our rental assistance program? At the last meeting, we presented an amendment to the original agreement, which would extend the agreement to include the ERA 2 funds.
Good morning. And good morning to everybody in the crowd. As we stated last meeting, this is an extension of the agreement that would extend it to April of 2022, the end of April 2022. This would also take us on through ERA 2, and there is the increase that we discussed of 1.75%, and Mr. Jason Moore is here with me, so any questions about this extension or the contract or anything else?
Mr. Chairman, if I could.
Yes, sir.
No, of course, I've gotten to know Mr. Jason to a certain extent via emails. We're concerned that I get at least 3 calls on a weekly basis in terms of people having trouble getting the rental assistance paid. And I understand that this is a new program. I understand that Horn is doing what they can to try to make the adjustments as it relates to following the Treasury guidelines. But I don't think that we are at a point where they should be asking for an increase to continue the second phase. We still have some growing pains, and you don't normally, award the vendors or the providers if the thing is not functioning in a very efficient manner. Now, I know we've made some improvements. I'm certainly grateful for the opportunity to communicate with Mr. Jason and his staff when I get these calls, but it just seems to me that we are asking for something that we perhaps not have earned. I think would be a privilege to continue part 2 with Horn, but I don't know if an increase is deserved at this time. And it seems that we should have been working with Horn to perhaps negotiate a lower rate as opposed to entertaining an increase?
Well, I think part of the proposed increase is having to make additional measures to get the program working. Again, you know, like any program, you start with an initial budget. You come across things that you may not have foreseen, and so it does require more operating funds. And I'll let Jason speak to that more about some of the things that they've had to do, which is going to, the reason why they are requesting that increase going into this next step. But yeah, there have been things that they've had to do in order to, okay, we've done this with the initial funds. We really need this amount to make sure this thing runs smoothly, or not even smoothly, as smooth as it possibly could be under the circumstances with the sheer amount of people that are attempting to get this money.
Good morning, and good morning to you, Commissioners. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to answer some questions. First, I want to talk about the efficiency of the program that you mentioned, Commissioner Sankey. And yes, while it did take us longer than expected to get it stood up and operating quickly, we have, in my opinion, proven over time that we have been able to make those improvements and adjustments to get funds out quicker. And that also reflects in the figures, which I can share for you if you'd like. So currently up to date, as of this morning when I looked at the reports, we have assisted 910 households in Montgomery County. That accounts for $5.1 million approved for payment, which is only 1.2 short of what we need to get through for the rest of ERA 1.
How much of that's been paid?
Paid, that is at 2.1 as of today. There's a remaining balance that is pending that should be paid out by the end of this week.
Therein lies the problem. Most of the complaints that I've received are from people who say they've been approved, and but every time they think they're about to get a check, they get another request for something else, request for something else. This is an excellent program that we've been offered to our constituents. And quite frankly, my greatest fear came true on this thing. I never really wanted to offer the constituents anything that I felt like we were not in a position to deliver. So we went out and we sought professionals, someone who promised us that they would be able to administer this program in a manner that would be satisfactory to our constituents. We're politicians, we run for re-election. We offer things to our constituents, they're upset, they're unhappy with it. And that's what's happening here. So, you know, my question is, I mean, you approved 5.1, but you only paid 2.1. It does these people no good to be approved and not have their rent paid or have their utilities paid. It does them no good. That money has to be out. And we only had 6-7 million. And we've only spent 2.1 million. That's a problem for me in the time that we've had the money. Going forward, I'm interested in, and Sankey has, Commissioner Sankey has really expressed the past problems that we have, but I'm interested in going forward. If you are to go forward with this program with us, what's the plan to make sure that these types of things don't happen?
Yes, sir. So the current problem with the 2.1 and not being paid out to the 5.1 that we're supposed to be at. As we've administered the program, we've run into snags along the way, mainly because no one's ever stood up a rental assistance program. And so the process that we have seen it as it evolves, you know, if you think about checking an ID at the door, is that we're checking IDs when they get in the door. So what happens is everybody gets into the room and there's a large population, and then you got to figure out how to get them all out. So the tail end of our process right now is getting all those funds out, and we have figured that out at this point. And so that's why, looking into ERA2, we're confident by the end of February 2022 that we will have all the ERA2 funds out as well.
Will you please better define the snags, or at least the primary snags that y'all are dealing with this $3 million disconnect?
Yes, absolutely. So we currently have a staff of analysts and QC quality analysts who come behind them and review those applications after them. So we want to make sure we have 2 checks and 2 sets of eyes on every application before it gets out for payment. So when we set up our structure, we wanted to make sure that not only we had accountability within our system, but we have to check for fraud, we have to check the documentation. And so the length of time it was taking our analysts and QCs to get through those applications and look at them was what was causing the backlog in the pipeline itself. So now we've kind of figured that out. The Treasury has given us some opportunities to require less documentation, and so we've been able to figure some of those snags out. But now as we're moving along the timeline and through the pipeline and the process, when we get to the end of the payment, we realize that sometimes getting a check out may not be as fast as getting an ACH payment out, and sometimes the programs that we're using, we're taking a little bit longer to get those payments out, and we've been able to dwindle all those things down as we've been moving along. So there have been a lot of things that we've had to figure out as we were going. The payment side of it is now the tail end of something to get figured out, and we've resolved that.
So the 3 million outstanding, that's been committed. Those people have been told
Those
you
people
will
have
get
been told.
this.
Yes,
Okay, what's the timeline, if you can give us a ballpark on when those monies will be paid out?
By the end of the week.
By the end of this week?
Yes, ma'am.
So you will be whole to the 5.1 million by the end of this week?
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent.
Mr. Chairman, just one more comment. So, again, Jason, I see some of the improvement that you all have made, and certainly the opportunity to reach out to you when I get the calls, I'm very grateful for that. But I'm also getting some complaints that when they call, they are put on hold for up to 30 minutes at a time, and after the 30 minutes, they're disconnected, and so, they're having to start all over again. So, have you done anything to help rectify that situation? I don't know if you are. I think, yes, you have a call center, and are you short-staffed? I know we have a lot of, justifications for being short-staffed. We claim people don't want to work, and, this type of stuff, which, we don't need to talk about that today. But in any event, I'm just wondering, have you all made any progress on that whole time, and then people getting cut off after they've stayed online for 30 minutes?
Yes, sir, we have. We were made aware of this actually 2 weeks ago, and so we've been working with the vendor. The call center manager has been working with the vendor in order to rectify that situation, to at least give them a message or a heads up that the phone is going to disconnect after 30 minutes. We are seeing an increased volume due to the eviction moratorium being lifted, and so we are seeing more calls coming in. ERA2, part of the increase is because we would want to add some more staff to move through A, call center calls, and B, get what is currently in the pipeline of the program out the door.
Thank you.
Jason, the original amount was 6.7 million, right? That was the award.
6.8, Cheryl, was that correct?
6.8?
Yes.
All right, 6.8, and then 5.1 million has been approved.
Yes, sir.
Leaves 1.7 million, but how much of that is the compensation for y'all's time?
The administrative fee on ERA1 was 8.5%.
8.5%.
Yes, sir.
So this will keep it under the maximum amount by law that you can receive?
Yes, correct.
So there's 1.7 million left to be administered, right? 6.8, 5.8, 5.1's approved.
Yes, well, some of the admin costs has been covered already, so,
Okay.
but yeah.
All right, so 1.6 million probably left to be approved then. And
Yes, sir, including the admin fee, it's probably about 1.2, and we anticipate that to be complete by the end of November.
November.
Yes, sir.
But your contracts can go to the end of February,
This contract goes until the end of April.
end of April?
Yes, sir.
Is it just too much money, you think, to deal with in terms of what has been allocated for emergency rental assistance? Because I know you all you have present across this country, is that correct? And
Yes, sir, I
Yeah.
don't think it's the money, I think it was the volume of applications.
Okay, all right. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you
Yes, sir.
taking my emails.
Absolutely, yeah, keep sending them.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Can that amendment go on the next agenda?
Yes, it can.
Item number 5 is the budget for the Employee Recognition and Appreciation Program, commonly known as our holiday luncheon for employees. We've had that luncheon at First Baptist Church over the years. They are not able to make their fellowship hall available this year.
Because of the fire.
Right.
We're still cleaning.
Under the recognition program that was approved by the examiners is rather strict about how we do things. Approving this budget is one step. What the staff has talked about is the possibility of, instead of doing the traditional turkey and dressing meal, that we get boxed lunches and it be more of a department celebration. We want to work out a way for your commissioners last year, we did gift cards and a recorded message to the employees. Chairman Dean has suggested that employees come here, and so that you all would have the opportunity to speak to them, address them, and get their box lunches and go back to their departments, where then the department head could make the presentation of certificates and pins.
Going with what you said at first, you said the staff, not up to the staff to decide.
No, sir.
We're gonna do it as this commission, I decide. And what we've been doing, we've been facing them, looking them in the face, thanking them, shaking their hand or whatever, laughing and talking. And I don't want that to go away. I don't know about the rest of y'all.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I missed not doing it last year. Is there not another facility we could utilize, multiplex or something?
The language is rather specific about being a county building. Not real sure how the First Baptist Church Fellowship Hall fit into that description. But we can look for another building, another location.
Well, the multiplex is a county building now.
It's a courthouse annex.
It's a courthouse annex.
Yeah, you're right.
Good point.
I'm just saying.
We will certainly look into that and see available dates. But we wanted to go ahead and get this budget on the next agenda so it could be approved prior to the luncheon.
Yeah.
Put it on the next agenda.
Item number 7 is a resolution approving the 2022 severe weather preparedness tax holiday, February 25th to 27th.
That's the next agenda.
Consider amendment number 2 to a contract with Acme Supply Company for inmate uniforms for the detention facility and youth facility.
Next agenda.
Consider amendment number 2 to a contract with Diversified Companies for off-site printing of notices for the Revenue Office.
Next agenda.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
thank you. Florence, you did say that you would try to include the prices of the cost for these different contracts that we're entering into.
Right.
They start to ask for, the implement the provision in the contracts, for the 5% increase, et cetera. But I don't see
I
the
believe
prices reflected.
that's what the price sheet, I'm sorry, let me get to that. The amendment number 2, off-site printing of notices, price sheet is the prices they submitted with the increase.
I was actually referring to the uniforms.
Pardon?
The uniforms for the youth facility.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, that's item,
Yes,
that's
ma'am. Okay.
pages
Thank you, ma'am.
3 and 4
Thank
and
you.
5.
My computer got stuck on that. Thank you. Okay.
consider the appointment of a board member to the Montgomery County Parks and Recreation Board. Mr. Andre Howard's term expires December 4th, 2021, and he would like to be reappointed.
The next agenda. Unless somebody got somebody else. Okay.
Item number 11 includes the 2022 commission meeting schedule.
Florence, the NACO Legislative Conference is at that same time, the second meeting on,
In February, the 15th.
15th February. I know Commissioner Harris and I attended, I guess, the last time they had that a couple of years ago, and I hate for two of us or three of us, whatever, to be having a conflict, the ones that would like to attend that. Is there something we can,
Didn't we move it before?
I think we had to.
We're gonna have a quorum.
But that's just
What
one
did we do
conference.
that year? We weren't gonna have a quorum, so we had to do it on an off week, or?
I believe one time we moved both meetings in a
Yeah.
month. The problem with the February meeting, if we move it to the 22nd, that's a week before the first meeting in March, which,
So why, this meeting is on the 15th, how long does that mean you all talking about? One day?
It goes through the
It's a week.
16th.
A whole week?
Yeah, it goes through the 16th. It goes 12th through the 16th.
It's pretty much that whole week.
Yeah.
could possibly move it to Thursday of that week. Well, no, you may be traveling back.
But now you travel, we'd be back by the 16th.
Huh?
I think you travel back on the 16th.
But Thursday on is the 17th.
Correct.
I just got that, somebody sent the schedule. I can get it better. Because I think we traveled back on the 17th. Who sent that?
Washington. It's normally the Saturday through the Wednesday, I guess. And normally it ends that morning. A lot of times, Dan, you travel back to that afternoon.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see. She just sent that, didn't she?
There are 5 Tuesdays in March. Does that help us? I mean, you're saying we need are we required to have 2 weeks in between meetings?
So it's the 17th that we come, the travel date's 17th, Doug. 16th is the Capitol Hill visits.
Oh, it is? That's
Yeah.
right, yeah, you get it. Yeah,
So
you're right.
we're talking, and that's Thursday. So we're talking the next week.
But that puts you back to back.
Well, it really isn't wrong if you got, if the meeting's a week apart.
We've done back to back
Yeah.
before. So we can meet on the 22nd.
Yeah.
You know, unless we wanted to then mess with March, there are 5 Tuesdays we could do, the 2nd
That gets you to
and
April.
4th. No, it doesn't.
Oh, the 2nd and 4th.
The 2nd and 4th Tuesdays in March. If we want to keep them spread out.
And I don't see anything wrong with the 22nd.
And then just leaving March alone?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
That
okay.
way we just change one.
okay.
So we,
Or, I mean, if we could, again, virtual, I guess, is always a possibility, if that's,
We're gonna do the 22nd.
okay.
You don't have
So
to- you don't have to
February
vote.
1st and February
You don't
22nd.
take a quorum virtually.
Can't vote for it.
No, you can't vote.
Can't vote.
I learned the hard way. Show your face.
so we'll move the February 15th meeting to February 22nd and present that on the next agenda. Item number 12 is a bid award to Sharp Cut Lawn Service for landscape and irrigation maintenance at Elton Dean Park.
Next gentleman.
I believe that covers all the items for our information session.
Mr. Chairman, did you give everybody this, Florence?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Everybody got a couple pieces of proposed legislation, so we can kind of get our legislative agenda voted on. This first piece is an act to further provide for the salary of the members of the Montgomery County Commission by converting certain existing expense allowances to salary. Currently, a little less than half of our income is considered expense, when in fact it's all treated as income for federal income tax, federal and state income tax purposes. All of us, just about, I think it's been now about 4 years, 3 or 4 years that we were added to RSA, and this proposal would in effect make our entire income subject to RSA. Instead of,
So that the amount remains the same, it's just called something different.
right.
Yeah,
You're right.
yeah.
Right, I don't know what
Well-
the purposes were in the past for doing that, because the law still treats it all as income anyway, you know.
But we're not getting credit for it with
No.
RSA.
And we're not getting credit with the RSA. So this would remedy that.
Yeah, 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 that. Yeah, that would be good.
Anybody got any questions on that one?
Seems pretty clear.
The next proposal is, relates to the Montgomery County to further provide for a salary increase for the members of the Montgomery County Commission. Be it enacted, and this would amount to $1,000 per month effective beginning the next term of office of the county commission. Under law, we can't vote ourselves a raise. This raise would be voted, if it passes, would be voted and become effective for the next commission, not this one. Next term. So those are the two.
And I think that last one you read was, with Reed Ingram.
This is reading?
Yeah,
I heard that, somebody told me that he was proposing one, I didn't know this was it.
that's it.
Well, he favors that, that's fine. But I really think that first one would benefit all of us.
Yeah.
Well, some of us might not be around in next to get that benefit. I propose that we put these on next agenda so that our legislative people can get to work on it.
Any other discussion on it?
So both of these will go on the next agenda.
I did hear that Reed was working on an increase for us.
That's all.
Anybody else got anything, any concern, anything good at all?
Are we going to, Mr. Chairman, talk about the redistricting maps? I know that the state legislature, the State Board of Education, I believe Montgomery School Board and the City Council are talking and perhaps have approved their districts already. When are we going to engage? Okay. Okay. So at what point does this body decide?
I think everybody needs to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
I know some of us have looked at it.
I've looked at a few renderings myself. I'm just wondering at what point do we engage in a more formal discussion about the maps?
Did we say?
I think, you know, some,
What is the deadline?
there's no deadline, I think, we just have to have it done before the next election, which is on the 22nd of next, in November 22, we ought to get it done before then. But, you know, I think somebody should really, and because it was never explained to me, the process of, this process should be explained so that each commissioner knows. As I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, because I didn't know at first, but I learned this. Each commissioner is entitled to present their own map to the office at Alabama State University, the office, Miles Mayberry's office. And what they will do is take those maps and try to mush them together and come up with one that satisfies all these wishes. That each individual map shows what each commissioner prefers, and he'll bring them together to try to bring them as close as he can. And that one that comes together is the one that we'll have to consider whether or not, we'll have to match it out between us, what works for us, which one the majority carries that. That's my understanding of the process. I didn't realize that was the process before.
I don't ever remember that process, does I?
Well, that's the one that, you know,
Yeah, I went down there and spent a couple of days down there, very fascinated by the software. It's very, very good software. The districts of Commissioner Harris and Commissioner Walker have remained fairly flat since the last census back in 2010. Their numbers have not changed considerably at all. It's very, very equal to what it was then. So I left their two districts alone, did not touch them. My district had increased substantially, and Commissioner Sankey and Commissioner Dean, Chairman Dean's districts had shrunk due to the migration east of the population. So when I went down there, I left Commissioner Walker, Commissioner Harris alone, did not touch theirs, and I took my north end of my district and allocated it towards Commissioner Sankey, took my south end and did that for Chairman Dean. My district, as it sits today, is bigger than all the other 4 districts combined because my population is spread so wide over so much space and land. So this would condense my district down. I was going to have to lose about 13,000 constituents in my district to make it everybody have the same, close to being the same amount of people. And I actually did mine. When I did it, I actually made my district a little bit smaller than the other districts, staying within the parameters to stay behind, because with the migration east, it'd just make it a little easier 10 years from now when the next person who's sitting in my seat 10 years from now, when we come back and redistrict in 2030, with me starting out a little bit below the numbers, the ideal numbers, it would match up better then. But that was what I had done. I didn't have anybody in my district I wanted to lose. I hate losing anybody, but I just took my north and my south parts of my district and moved those to Commissioner Dean and Commissioner Sankey, and that's what I was proposing. And the other thing that, too, I had to look at when I did it is in my district, I'm strapped for polling places. I mean, there's not many places in my district that can hold an election, and that was the other thing that I had to kind of look at when I did mine, because if I give my north and my south, I'll lose 2 polling places in my south, and I'll lose 1 in my north. So that would condense my polling places down to I have to find 3 more polling places that I really don't know where I can find them to host the elections. So that's what I did. So I'll be glad to let anybody see them. That's on my desk.
And like I said, I've been through a couple of these, and Commissioner Harris is right about we getting together and decide, it's gonna be us decide which is the best plan. And we wanna make sure we're fair to everybody. Mr. Sankey losing 4,000 people, that means when he gained 4,000, he will have 4,000 new constituents. When I lost 6,000, so when I gained those 6,000, I'm gonna be, representing 6,000 new people. And, whether I want to or not, I mean, we got to do it fair, and the court's gonna look at it regardless of how we do it. The court, it's going to court. So.
Why would ours go to court if we all agree?
Well, you
Who would
agree.
challenge ours? Who would challenge the county? You know, I can tell you what I did, pretty much mirrors what Doug did, except now he made, you know, I went farther south with it than he did, because my concern is fairness in this whole thing, and I'm going to be looking at whatever we end up with to make sure that none of these districts are packed. You know, I know what the majority is in these counties, but there's absolutely no reason why anybody should have 75 or 80% black people in their district. No reason. You know, that's packing a district and diluting the power of that group, giving almost 45,000 people, you know, giving all those people one representative. So that's what I'm going to be looking at. But I did pretty much what you did, Doug. There was no reason to change mine, no reason to change Rhonda's. We both are right at 45,000, and your district had the overwhelming growth, really. So I went south with Elton, and I went north with Sankis, and I submitted mine. So I've already submitted mine.
We're pretty close.
Yeah.
Ours, when we look at it, pretty close. But you know,
But y'all deciding for me and Sankey.
No, everybody's entitled to it.
No,
Everybody's entitled
yeah,
to
in
it.
all fairness, I've gone down to the center myself to look at the map, and I'm impressed with the software that they're using as well. But Commissioner Harris, you said you've submitted yours already. Who did you submit it to? I'm just trying to understand the process.
Lewis, I forget his last name.
Okay, yeah, that's with, yeah.
Lewis,
Hines,
Okay.
you submit it to him, and he'll put it in there, he'll get your map.
Mhm.
And then after all five of us submit
yeah,
something,
that's what needs to happen.
then
Everybody needs to go down there.
they'll try to rectify them, but it's up to us ultimately. Which one-
Yeah,
which-
so I'd
which one's
encourage you to go
adopted.
down there and do it.
So if unless there's some huge disagreement at the end of the day between us, I don't see how there would be a court challenge. There might be a court challenge on the state level, but they've shown up done some packing.
Well, they are headed to court.
I know,
we
I mean,
that.
they do stuff to go to court.
But
But
packing,
I don't intend for us to do that, I mean,
yeah, but packing really shouldn't be an issue in Montgomery County because you're gonna have, no matter how you cut it, you're gonna have districts that's gonna have 70% to 75% of African Americans, no matter how you cut it, because the numbers
that's
now.
not what not the way I did it. Not the way I did it. Everybody's in the 60s, except one.
Yeah.
One's got maybe 70, 71, 72%, but everybody else is in the 60s. Even you.
Oh, I don't, like, again, my district, I'm gonna represent my district, so however it is, I'm gonna represent the people in there.
Let me give you all the scenarios since I've been on the commission. When, blessed soul Giles Williams was the commissioner. We had Reed, we had Demetrius Policing, and I think we had, what was the lawyer name? You got it, Scott.
Ham Wilson.
Ham Wilson. But when it came up, Demetrius and Reed went down to Miles Mayberry. They had that, the Sankin got from where Sankin them live on the west side, all the way over the top of North Montgomery, across the interstate to Norwood, okay, to Norwood. And what it was, they drew it so it would still be, 3 Caucasians on commission. They gave me 85%, they gave Giles 88%. And they felt like we wanted to be commissioners so bad that we gonna get elected.
That's packing.
I know that, so I'm saying we have to be
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm looking at, fairness, and I won't, I can't support packing in any form. But anyway, it's 10 o'clock, 10:01.
We don't start till 10:30.
Oh, we're gonna start at 10:30?
We got executive session though, right?
Don't we have executive session?
Yeah, but that's after the meeting.
Do it now, don't have to wait.
Well, we can.
I'm sorry, we could start with the first one.
Yeah, we can.
You want to start early?
Can't start the
Executive
executive,
session.
can't do it.
No, what I was suggesting was that we would have an executive session
Now,
and start our formal session at 10:30.
yeah,
Yes.
that's what we always
Can't
do.
start the executive session early, can we?
We've done that in the past.
Yes, it is.
Let somebody write it. Okay.
Was the executive session scheduled after the formal meeting?
It's part of the agenda is what I had understood. If it's not part of the agenda, you can do it. But if it's part of the agenda, you have to follow the agenda.
Is it part of the agenda?
I'm looking.
I'm looking for it too.
Yeah, because we've always
It's
done
after
that.
the agenda, it's got, where is it?
It's under future.
After the formal session, after the formal
If it's
session.
not part of the agenda of the regular meeting, then you can do it now.
It's not,
It's not part of the agenda.
Let's do it.
You can do it now.
it should take a, is Ellen here?
Yes, she is.
You still need to go through the formality of moving to go into executive session.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we go into executive session at this time.
Second.
Aye.
You're going to go in there